It is about that time, Racing Roundtable time. It's also the first day of the Wild Card Series. James, I would never do something as mean as ask you when the Reds game is. I,
Oh, well, thank you, Nick. Gosh. Next year, Nick, hopefully we can get this young talent rolling in the right direction.
we'll be ready for it. We saw a lot of young talent. We saw some older talent over the weekend as well of the equine variety doing battle on the race courses around the country. And we're going to recap a little bit of them. We're going to cover things like Breeders' Cup implications from the big weekend at Santa Anita that included the California Crown, the takeaways from Belmont at Aqueduct, where we saw a grade one on Saturday, in addition to some other graded stakes races. And the What Else Caught Your Eye? We'll have some good content for you there. Let's get started out west, James, looking at the California Crown Stakes races. You wanted to highlight a couple in particular from both Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah, I think there were two serious, I mean, in my eyes, win contenders that were in action on Saturday. And I'll just start from the perspective of the better betting odds, and that's Johannes. Johannes looked sharp, tuning up for the Breeders' Cup Mile in this Grade 2 City of Hope Mile. He opened the year after he ran last year on the Derby undercard, did not run again, came back from a 10-month layoff this spring in the Grade 3 American, won that race, then won the Shoemaker Mile. I really thought that I love his progression in the last two starts. Tim Yakteen ran Johannes at 1 1/8 in the Eddie Reed. That was his most convincing victory of the year. That bodes well for Del Mar's turf next month, I think. And on Saturday, really just you got to see his strong turn of foot off of the far turn where he quickly put away the pace setter and won by a couple of lengths. The thing with the Breeders' Cup Mile, Nick, is that from 2011 to 2019, people think these international runners win that race every single year. Over that 9-year stretch, North American-based horses won 7 of the 9 races. Now, over the last 4 years, these international horses have been on an unprecedented run of 4 consecutive mile wins. I don't think the European contingent is going to be as strong this year as it has been. We'll see that in the weeks to come. But I think Johannes is set for a big effort in the Breeders' Cup Mile off of the City of Hope Mile. The other one, of course, is Straight No Chaser. That was just a blockbuster performance. He took it to him right from the start. I thought it was a brilliant win. He looked like a star in the making last year when he won the Maryland Sprint on the Preakness undercard. Didn't run again until May. Had a troubled start at Aqueduct this spring, and then came back from a 4.5-month layoff on Sunday in the Santa Anita Sprint Championships. He got a huge Brisnet speed rating, especially for this year's Sprint division, I believe a 109. And he's the real question with him is, can he bounce back, hold his form on a 5-week rest into the Breeders' Cup Sprint? So I'm going to highlight those two performances in terms of the Breeders' Cup from Santa Anita over the weekend.
Yeah, on Johannes, I think the connections have certainly backloaded his campaign with an eye on the Breeders' Cup. That's part of the reason why they didn't ship to go to a far more lucrative race from a monetary perspective, like the Coolmore Turf Mile coming up this weekend at Keeneland. And, they're the people at the craps table pressed up on a certain pair of numbers, right? They're looking for one performance being the Breeders' Cup Mile. I think the variable that you were sort of alluding to with regards to why international horses have done so well in the Breeders' Cup Mile has really been Godolphin's involvement in the last few years. They have sent over and they have had horses participate that are a little bit better than what we'd seen on a regular basis. And I'm thinking, of course, of Space Blues 3 years ago at Del Mar. 2 years ago, it was... Right. 2 years ago, it was Modern Games. And last year, they were 1-2, actually, with Master of the Seas running down Modge. Modge, who had been here for a period of time. Master of the Seas had started twice domestically as well. They're obviously utilizing the American Turf Division and the amount of money that we have to offer up in our purses to their advantage. Boy, Johannes is a slight little thing, right? You see this picture and the saddle almost looks like it's going to come off his behind, but it doesn't matter. You don't need to be a big, clunky horse on turf. I think being a little bit smaller works well. Umberto Rispoli is just an ideal fit for him. So I think he represents certainly the best California-based mile hopeful that we've seen in quite some time. And worth noting, Smooth Like Straight was second back in that 2021 Breeders' Cup Mile. You said the most important thing on Straight No Chaser is, can he come back in 5 weeks, right? This is a horse we've seen run by appointment only over the last couple of years. He had a long break and came back with a troubled run at Aqueduct, but he showed what we needed to see on Saturday in this division, which is he's a horse who's fast. He doesn't really seem to need to take his racetrack with him, because we've seen now some of his biggest performances come at Santa Anita and Pimlico. So that bodes well for him going down to Del Mar. I hope he's able to make the Breeders' Cup Sprint, because he just makes it a far, far more interesting race than it could ever possibly be. As far as Breeders' Cup potential horses go, let's take a look at a couple more from Saturday at Santa Anita, and that starts with Subsanador, who won the California Crown, the inaugural California Crown. Of course, it was just the Awesome Again packaged in a more shiny box. But Subsanador for Dick Mandela came in off a win in the Island and was able to get the job done in the California Crown, winning it in a driving finish, and really what ended up being kind of a stirring rendition of this race, certainly worthy of the purse money. What did you think of Subsanador and potentially his Breeders' Cup Classic chances?
I liked his effort, and I thought that performance enhanced his prospects in the Classic. Obviously, he's going to face another group of rivals. You got a couple international challengers that look formidable, but Subsanador, he had some incident with the Lasix or something where he had to miss his San Diego. He hadn't won yet since arriving in the U.S. Last fall, and Mandela rerouted him to Monmouth. I thought he really turned in his best performance yet. I mean, by a ways. I thought that was a really good looking win. Of course, it came over suspect company in the Island at Monmouth. But I thought his effort Saturday bodes well for him. I think he's moving the right direction. He's an older horse with a look to me who's just hitting his best stride at the right time. And I know he's never won at a 1.25 mile distance, the Breeders' Cup Classic distance, but that didn't stop White Arbario from winning it last year when he was essentially peaking coming into the race. So if Subsanador comes out of that effort good and continues to train forwardly for Dick Mandela, I don't see why he at least can't challenge for a top 3 finish. Maybe he won't be good enough to handle, some of the aforementioned contenders like Fierceness, Forever Young, and City of Troy. But that race was, I thought, a very strong performance by him. I like the courage he showed, winning, outdueling National Treasure and Newgate between horses. And, I'm a little bit bullish on him moving forward.
Yeah, I've learned over the years to not take a big stand against Dick Mandela horses in big spots. He knows how to get them there. Almost felt like he took the reroute on this horse by design, sent him to Monmouth, as you as you mentioned, with a goal of this race. And it worked out perfectly, so I don't see why he can't be ready. 2 takeaways from Also Rans in here, and it's hard to call National Treasure an Also Ran. He finished 3rd, beaten ahead. This is a horse who's disappointed now in 2 straight since that really scintillating Met Mile. And the best news is we don't have to hear about Muth anymore, because Muth was always the most overrated 3-year-old out there. And we kept hearing about Muth like he was some kind of leader in the clubhouse that was just going to magically appear and run a big race. But he was a very disappointing off-the-board finisher in here, and I imagine he'll be routed to something a lot easier moving forward.
Well, I'll just say one thing about National Treasure. He's going to the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile, and listen, if we'll see what the pace scenario is in there. But to me, he's worth taking on if I don't think he's going to be the speed, because his best races come on the lead, it seemingly. And I'm just a little bit concerned he won't be on top form on Breeders' Cup November 2nd.
Totally agree. Let's keep talking Breeders' Cup and go east to the Gallant Bloom on Sunday, won by Ways and Means, in a performance that was very strong and continued a good run for her that included a win in the test. It was sort of crazy to think that Belmont week of this year, she was still eligible for a one other than. And the Connections did the smart thing, which was getting her to clear that one other than condition. She came back and won the test, won the Gallant Bloom on a wet track as well. What they've been saying, and I kind of believe it, James, is that she's better on a dry track, but we know she's pretty much unstoppable amongst filly and mare sprinters on a wet surface. I thought this was a really strong win. I think she looms a major player in what is gradually becoming a really fascinating race. I mean, I'm going to rattle off a few names for you. Ways and Means, Society, Vava, Sweet Azteca, Scylla. Those are all potential horses in the filly and mare sprint. That's going to be a heck of a horse race.
Oh, yeah. I mean, society to me. I mean, that was a real strong effort in the ballerina, and she's coming into the race off of a real positive performance. And same with Ways and Means. I mean, she did catch a suspect group, but I like the way she was drawing away at the end. I think it's still like a good setup for her next start. And, one thing about her is, I mean, typically these classy horses in the spring, they were running in the fall. She came back this spring from a huge layoff. I mean, she went to the sidelines like in late summer last year, and Chad Brown had eyes on running her in the Kentucky Oaks, so he was aiming her for long distances. I think she finished fourth in the Oaks on class alone, and now she's won 3 straight since cutting back to a mile or less. I think 7 furlongs is perfect for her, and I don't see any reason why she won't show up with her best at Del Mar.
Yeah, totally agree. Love what she did there. We'll stay on wet tracks and talk a little bit about Hit Show, who took the Lucas Classic on Saturday night at Churchill Downs. Workmanlike win for the hard-trying gray, and it was a performance I think that you kind of saw coming around the quarter pole when it looked like he was the one sort of going best, but he of course made everybody sweat a little.
It really did. I mean, yeah, at the 16th pole, I thought he was going to go right by Cook Creek and win by open lands. That didn't happen, but he did get the job done. And I'll give Hit Show a little bit of credit. He's now won 3 of 4 starts this year for Brad Cox. So, he has moved forward has moved forward at age 4, and that's what you were hoping for. I know Cox held out the possibility of targeting the Clark in late November, maybe the race at Keeneland in late October. Yeah, the Fayette. But I don't know what you think, Nick, but I firmly expect to see Hit Show in the Breeders' Cup Classic. He was sold privately from the West off of his win in the West Virginia Governors to the Emir of Qatar, Wathan Racing, who also owns Subsanador. They bought him earlier in the year. So I think they want to see both those horses run in the Breeders' Cup Classic. And as far as Hit Show goes, yeah, I don't give him any chance of winning. But if he does get like a little bit of a hot pace in there, he could potentially close up for like a minor award. That's really the best case scenario. But I do give him credit for going on this year and winning some stake races now. Those are 2 nice graded stakes wins in a row.
No doubt about it. I think they might be working backwards from the Saudi Cup as well with a horse like Hit Show. Just remains to be seen with him having some representation with Subsanador. Well, after Hit Show is victorious, his winning jockey Florent Giroux caught up with a total hack, leaving the winner's circle and heading towards the paddock. All right, joined by Florent Giroux, winning jockey aboard Hit Show in the Lucas Classic. Florent, looked like all in all, you got a pretty good trip with some pace in front of you.
Yeah, exactly. Unfolded, kind of the thought I would, with the 4 horse making the run. From there, just try to cut the corner into the first turn, and I figured the best part of the track was the outside, so I slowly eased my way out down the backside, and when my horse was ready to make his move, I just let him go gradually.
Quarter pole looked like you had to be feeling good, angling out with the leader obviously likely to get a little tired, but he came back on you a little bit in the stretch. Did your horse hang a little, or did he come back on you?
Yeah, my horse hang. You saw it right, Nick. It looked like I was going to win pretty easily by a few lengths, and when he stick up his neck in front, he started putting the brakes on me a little bit, but overall, I can feel I still had the control of the race. I just had to keep him a little bit busy until the wire.
2 wins in a row on this horse. How much is he improving now as a 4-year-old?
Oh, he's always been a nice horse. Listen, he ran a great race last year in the Derby, great race in the Belmont. He's always a horse who's shown a lot of talent, even early on. But I think right now he's really coming into his own. I think just Brad and the owners giving him a break, from 3 to 4, really helped the horse to develop, physically and mentally.
Now wheels up soon to Oklahoma, right?
Yes, exactly. I'm leaving in the morning, and hopefully the flights are on time.
Good luck, my friend.
Thank you.
Wow. Florent, of course, went over to Oklahoma, won the Remington Park Oaks and the Oklahoma Derby, so it was a fortuitous.
That was great. I mean, what a seasoned professional doing that.
I'll tell you what, even the broken clock's right twice a day, Big James. So that was Hit Show taking the Lucas Classic. Additionally, there was a Breeders' Cup Win in Your In event on Saturday night at Churchill Downs. It was the Aqueduct, won in a 4-horse field by 3 Technique, who came down the middle of the racetrack and wore down the leader Tumba Rumba. We're in fact seeing that replay here. James, you have to say, and look, I took a big L here wagering wise, but this was a fun result to see because of the connections. They're Louisville based, and I can guarantee you this: they were very excited after the race.
Oh yeah. It's easy to root for a guy like Jason Cook. Small trainer. I think before he won his first stakes race, he was also driving horses around a little bit. So he's really had some success his last couple of years. Cook has. His stable has gotten bigger, and he's done a great job keeping Three Technique. He's a 7-year-old horse who had finished third in the Aqueduct the last 2 years. He finally broke through this year. They're in a dilemma. Last year off the Aqueduct, they ran in the Breeders' Cup Sprint because they don't want to go a 2-turn mile. And then it was at Santa Anita, but it's the same thing at Del Mar. So they've got a decision to make whether to go ahead and try him at 2 turns again, which Cook didn't seem too keen on, cut back for the sprint, or they could still target a race like the Cigar Mile in New York. They don't have to go the Breeders' Cup, but it'll be tough, I imagine, for those connections to pass up, Nick.
Yeah, for sure. I spoke to Rafael Bejarano a little bit after the race, and in fact, brought up that very topic. Rafael Bejarano, winning jockey aboard Aqueduct, winner Three Technique. How much fun was that?
It was really fun. It did surprise me for a little bit, because it was only 3 horses to beat. The 1 and the 3 got speed, so I just tried to figure it out. I don't want to stay too far back. I know my horse, he had one wrong style, and he liked to come from behind, but I didn't want to stay too far back because the speed looks like he's been holding a lot. So I was play by ear, I play with the race goings, and just try to put in the best position I can. And when I see all 3 horses went head and head in the lead, it was perfect for me. I just, try to get in the beat and getting relaxed and, holding as much as I can, turning for home. When I getting in the clear, I knew I have a lot of horse. I thought, I said, if I don't win the race, I'm going to finish second for sure. But when I see the horse from the ups, I kind of give up a little bit. My horse put the head in front in the last furlong. I said, the race is over. My horse deserves to win today.
He had no trouble with the wet track at all, it seemed.
No. I think this is the second time he rode the wet track, but he did like it, He's good,
You think mile 1 turn more is his game, or maybe if they try him around 2 turns, he's got a chance?
His best distance is 7 furlong, 1 mile, so as long as 1 turn, 1 mile is good, because he did win before in that kind of distance too.
You have such a great history at this racetrack. What is it like to take any meaningful race like this?
Well, it's so much a pleasure, and I feel honored, to ride in this racetrack. Always was my my goal to run here since I came here to this country. Kentucky is the home of the horses, and I always enjoy it so much, I just want to thank to all the trainers, they still give me opportunities, and still have a faith on me that I can, still trying to the end. So I'm very enjoy a lot.
I can tell you're excited. It's great to see. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Great job.
Bejarano just hit a 3,500 win, so he had just reached a milestone, I think, recently. Maybe I got that number wrong.
It's 4,500.
4,500.
Yeah.
My apologies.
It's been a long and illustrious career, undoubtedly, for Rafael Bejarano.
What about those Silks? I mean,
Cardinals,
I'm a
man.
Kentucky fan, sorry.
Well, and I have no dog in the fight, so I'll stay away from it. But yeah, repping the Cardinals for sure. Biggest win Saturday night, no doubt about it. Well, James, we're going to close up for this event talking about some of the other things we're looking forward to. I know you had some winners at Churchill that you wanted to highlight.
Yeah, I'll hit a couple horses at Keeneland, but I did want to mention we saw a bunch of runaway, well, at least a couple Terrapin Station, Trust Fund Philly, these big runaway winners in the sloppy track at Churchill. But last Thursday under fast conditions, Bookham made her second start for Brett Calhoun, and really, I love this effort. She showed high speed from the gate. Showed the way on a short lead and then had another gear left in upper stretch. She got a big number for this. It was at 6 furlongs. She got an 86 Brisnet speed rating, which is really strong for a 2-year-old maiden winner. And one thing about this Bookham, her dam is a half sister to 2016 Jockey Club Gold Cup upsetter Discreet Lover. So there's some stamina in her bloodlines. She's got speed and a lot of promise going forward, I thought. Also mentioned Bengo. He finally got it done in the third start this year, set the new record for the most wins at Churchill Downs. This is his 12th victory. He defeated a short group of allowance rivals in his trademark fashion, closing up to get the win. And he also is now going to go back to stakes competition for the Foley Barn. They've done a great job. He's a 7-year-old horse, and he's got targeting to bet on Sunshine in early November. Nick, what do you want to talk about? I'll mention 2 horses at Keeneland before I'll let you get on it. John Ortiz on Friday has Quiet Side in the Alcibiades. My notes on her after the spin away was brilliant move on the far turn, got lost in upper stretch. She veered out. I thought she completely lost her focus. If she continues that move on, I look for her to win that Alcibiades. And I'm excited to see Bright work in the TCA. I know Ortiz was talking La Brea after her last start, but I think she's got a shot in the filly and mare sprint if she runs well on Saturday. Nick, what do you got?
Yeah, it was a very nice comeback win for her, no doubt about it, on closing weekend in the Prioress. I'm going to be looking forward to seeing Ferocious in the Breeders' Futurity on Saturday afternoon, no doubt about that. He was second in the Hopeful in the race that you're seeing on the screen now. This will be his 3rd start and his 3rd different jockey, with Luis Saez taking over. Irad is up at Aqueduct, and Javier Castellano just working his way back from an injury. But Ferocious is just a tremendously interesting horse who had a huge debut win, and really in this race ran well when it looked like he had no shot, as he was ridden hard going into the turn but stayed on. And I'm looking forward to seeing him stretch it out around 2 turns. Also, Carl Spackler, who has really emerged now, I think more so than ever, having won this 4-star Dave by a distance in a really strong performance. Chad Brown has 2 other runners entered in this race, but obviously Carl Spackler is the one we're looking forward to the most. Tyler Gaffalione will be on board as he looks to emerge as one of the, again, I guess reemerge as one of the bigger contenders for the Breeders' Cup Mile amongst the American contingent outside of Johannes. So that'll be a part of a huge stakes-laden card at Keeneland on Saturday afternoon. Can't wait to get things started over in Lexington, Kentucky. James, that is it for us. It's been a great Racing Roundtable. Who needs 4 boxes when they have you and I, right? I mean, that was all it takes. Why have 4 when 2 will do? For James Scully, James, we'll be looking forward to seeing you on the jury on Thursday and moving forward, my friend.
Good luck with the Astros, Nick. Enjoy the baseball.
Thanks so much. Hopefully the Astros go better than Keeneland morning line making, but that remains to be seen. For James Scully and everybody at Twinspires, Nick Tamaro here. Make sure you're playing along on the Twinspires tournament. The tournament scene really heating up. A lot of opportunities to get into some of the big events later in the year. Money back specials undoubtedly during the upcoming weekend. Darren will have more information on that on Thursday. That's it for us. Until next time, best of luck.
When it comes to horse racing, you can never have too much information. With TwinSpires, you can place your bets with confidence. Whether you use handicapping insights, like our Brisnet speed ratings, prime power and past performances, the guidance of our experts' top picks, or just choose a name that catches your eye. Yes! No matter how you pick your horse, bet with TwinSpires. And now you can race to victory with TwinSpires tournaments.